That's it. That's the one. Fabulous. Right. Hello, everybody. So yes, actually, I'm here to sort of talk about a few very short examples of how neuroscience can help advertisers make their ads more effective. First, I'm going to talk you through a little bit about what we do at Neuro-Insight, which is a very specific technology that we are the only people in the world using. It's called steady-state topography. So as you can see, people are wearing a headset, which is relatively similar to sort of usual EEG headsets, which basically is there's sensors that pick up electrical activity in different parts of the brain. Now, the difference that our methodology has is that the people technically are wearing a visor. Now, this visor is designed to do something very specific. It triggers a tiny flickering light at the corner of the eye. Now, the whole point of this is it's not preventing people from watching or doing anything, but it engenders a sort of a reflex reaction in the brain, which is a brain signal to a very, very sort of a strong and known frequency. What it allows us to do is to be a lot more effective at tracking what's going on in the brain. So basically what we end up doing is we follow this particular signal and figure out at which speed it gets into different bits of the brain. Because we know from other research that if a particular part of the brain is active, signals in general travels faster. And if it's not active, signals travel slower. So by sort of just looking at this single signal and figuring out how fast it's traveling in different parts of the brain, we can identify which part of the brain is more or less active on a second-by-second basis at any point in time. And in practical terms, what it means is that we don't need to conduct studies in labs. So as Thom said, we've never done that actually. So it's because the signal is so robust and so sort of resistant to interference, we can actually have studies in home environments. We usually do it in a bit sort of bigger rooms, like we could do it here actually, or things just because for convenience to have a bit more people at the same time. But we've done it in homes as well. And the other really important practical element of it is we don't need to show somebody the same thing more than once to get robust results. Without the visors, other companies would have typically, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but to show someone the same stimulus or the same TV ad for about 6 to 8 times, I think, or at the very least, a lot more than once. And what that means is that obviously by the time somebody's watch a TV ad 3, 4 to 6 times in a row, they're not really responding to it as naturally as they would if they were just watching a TV program with one ad, sort of here and there. So it makes it a lot easier for market research, basically. One of the key things, so we are looking at all kinds of brain response, well, 5 to be precise, but for the purpose of this particular 10 minutes presentation, I'll focus on one specific measure we look at, which is called long-term memory encoding. This is a part of the brain which is responsible for filing things away practically forever. We've got loads of memory. Obviously, we're not all conscious of the memories that we're filing away forever, but they can be triggered at a later point in time. We've got loads of things in our brain that we're not necessarily conscious of, but that are there and that can be triggered. And very importantly, that can impact our behavior. So there is a strong correlation between memory encoding and behavior, and that's been proven in loads and loads of research. The reason for the correlation is not necessarily that memory causes behavior. It's the other way around. Memory encoding is a sort of a reflection of the brain choosing to subconsciously file away a piece of information for potential use in the future. So if the brain has chosen to file something away in the brain somewhere, people can act on it subsequently. But if the brain hasn't filed that thing away, there's no way people can act on it because it's not there. So that's the reason for the quite strong correlation there. So one of the things that memory encoding can do, but if we measure memory encoding and we can identify which part of a TV ad, for example, people have filed away into memory, we can identify whether the particular message is likely to have an impact, right? Because if it's been filed away, it's more likely to have an impact on future behavior than if it's not been filed away because it won't be there. So this is something that we did actually for fun. So Volvo is not yet one of our clients, but we actually analyzed this ad. So it's Volvo Epic Split. So you might have heard there's been quite a recent hype about it. Now we did this analysis last summer, so before the hype about it, but it had won a creative award of some sort. And so basically this is a video of second-by-second memory encoding response to the Volvo Epic Split. The bottom line is time, and vertical axis is strength of brain response. What we're looking for is anything above the top dotted line here, which is a benchmark for strong levels of brain response. So anything that goes there has been filed away as a key piece of information about the brain for potential use in the future. So I'm going to play the ad now. So it takes a while actually for the brain to get engaged with this.
My fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. Now I stand here before you. What you see is a body crafted to perfection. A pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics. And a mindset to master the most epic of splits.
Huge amount going on really, however. So key brand message there, going in quite strongly with the branding as well. So that told us basically that although, you know, there's loads of other things going on emotionally, blah, 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 but the key thing the brain is filing away for potential use in the future is the brand message. So we thought, well, actually, we can tell you that it's probably going to be quite effective in market, right? And lo and behold, it just won the Grand Prix for Creative Effectiveness at Cannes. So one of the things that neuroscience can do is to predict the effectiveness of a commercial. Now, obviously, if we only told people, well, this is going to work well, or this is not going to work well, that wouldn't be that helpful, because obviously once you've made an ad, then you kind of want to use it. So the thing that we do most with advertising is help people, help brands tweak a little bit, do a little re-edit of how the commercial has been shot, basically, to make it really effective from a brain perspective. So I'm going to talk you through a case study, which is from Bird's Eye, frozen fish, and it's actually an Australian ad, but I can talk about it because it's been published and talked about by the client. It's quite a good example of simple tweaks that make a massive difference in the marketplace. So basically, they came to us because this ad wasn't performing extremely well. So again, I'll just play the video of it, and I'll draw attention to a couple of things.
The Southern Pacific Ocean. Out here, the air is crisp, the water deep and clear, and Mother Nature provides in abundance. Wouldn't it be good if you could simply capture this moment? From pristine depths, bird's eye find their
pause here.
The catches rapid kill within hours, bringing you delicate succulent fish fillets. Bird's eye, the good things are always simply good.
Right. So we then looked at brain response to this ad, and we found a couple of things. That basically there were two key points that were missed opportunities because they were elicited quite strong levels of memory encoding, but they had nothing to do with the brand. So the first moment is the sort of the setup scene where the camera focuses on a single character that starts speaking. Usually in ads, that tends to be associated with high levels of memory encoding because the brain is working to establish the context. What am I watching? But so here you get a big rise, a big peak, and something to do with the Pacific Ocean. So nothing to do with the brand really. And the second point in the ad, which was associated with a peak of memory encoding, is when, do you remember I said the pause? It's that moment. So pausing, sudden silence, and sort of any moment of tension obviously create anticipation. And then the brain is just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. And so you get a rise in brain response again at that point. But again, at this particular point in the previous edit, it was something about, wouldn't it be good if you can capture this and this and that? So again, nothing to do with the brand. So we basically had 3 suggestions for the re-edit. We told them they had to re-record the voiceover. But basically, we said the first thing you probably should do is get a mention of the brand right at the setup scene, so where memory encoding is high, so that the brand is going to get through. Second thing we said is use that pause. You're creating great anticipation. Maybe place a product message, something there. And then the third thing we said is if you want to highlight your branding, you might want to create a bit of disruption at the end. So here's the second film, and try to spot the difference, basically. Oh, hang on. Let me press that. Where is this thing?
The Southern Pacific Ocean. Bird's eye fish comes from its deep, clear waters. And Mother Nature provides in abundance. Wouldn't it be good if you could simply capture this moment.
So you gotta wait.
Bird's eye do capture.
With the fish.
The catch is rapid chill within hours to bring you the natural goodness of fish. Bird's eye.
A bit of
simply
highlight at
good.
the end. And now the great consequences of that. So these are the client's own figures. So simply by actually using half the media spent of the previous year, brand linkage up from 8 to 44%, purchase intent from 23 to 51%, and market share up from 47 to 54%. That's simply by readjusting a few things based on brain response. So that's it.